In this video, we are going to be talking about the missing scientists and UFO researchers that have recently died. I'm sure if you are in the UFO community or even the conspiracy theorist community, you have noticed an alarming number of scientists have gone missing, and it's definitely caught the eye of a lot of people. And more recently, the passing of David Wilcock. David Wilcock, along with Nick Pope, who has also died, were more well known with being on Ancient Aliens, and I think they've also had a couple of appearances on Gaia. My name is Catherine. I'm a spiritual coach, Reiki master, and nurse practitioner. I had an awakening in 2018, which then led to astral projection and hearing voices and seeing things, which eventually led to mediumship, and now I just help people through their awakening journey using these abilities that have now turned on. I decided to try to meditate on David Wilcock specifically, and I actually had a difficult time getting information. And there's a reason why I, in particular, was having a difficult time connecting, and it actually pertains to kind of what he was sort of going through. So I'll explain everything. So if you are new here, then basically what I do is I try to meditate. I have to quiet my mind, and then I start asking for information for the highest good and only of the truth, okay? However, I noticed that today, in the past couple of days, I have been trying to change some things within my human life. I am trying to refinance this house. I'm trying to make some, personal changes. And so when I am in that kind of energy, it really grounds me into the third dimension. And I have to use my logical thinking human mind in order to navigate those particular issues. Then when I try to sit down and meditate, I have to raise my vibration and get to a different frequency and a different state of consciousness. And so toggling back and forth can be a little difficult. And so I was having a difficult time trying to do that today. So I got some basic information. And what I usually do anyway is that I'll get as much information as I can from what I get in meditation. And then I'm gonna go online and look to see what other people have also gotten, just to compare notes to see where I am. And then sometimes when I listen to other people's information, something will click or it will resonate, okay? So I try my best to not watch other people's content too much because I don't want it to distort my own, but I also am still I just still want the validation. So that's why I do that. And sometimes I don't even get that validation because sometimes I just get something entirely different than what other people get. Okay, so that's just me being 100% transparent with you because I'm after the truth. I don't care where it comes from. I don't care if I look stupid. I don't care if I'm wrong. Most of the time I would prefer to be wrong, especially with some of the information that I get. And I'm cool with it, okay? So anyway, I sat down and asked to speak to David Wilcock. And when he came in, because I know of him, I've seen like a couple of clips and that's about it. I've never seen a full-on keynote or segment from Ancient Aliens with just him speaking. I have seen Nick Pope live. I went to a UFO conference in Las Vegas and he spoke, and I actually got to watch him speak. I couldn't tell you what he was talking about, but it was very rooted in science. I do remember that. And I just thought how like, I don't know, just grounded he was. So I appreciated that, okay? But with David Wilcock, I don't really know much about him. So I asked to speak to him, and of course, like, this is just my own meditation, so if it resonates, great. If not, that's okay too. When he came in, he seemed very frantic, and it's hard to, like, it's like he took my shoulders and he shook me and was like, they're coming after all of us, okay? Seemed very frantic, seemed just very ungrounded. And I thought this was super unusual because from what I understood at the time is that he had, the couple of segments that I've seen him, he talked about the Illuminati, like the shadow government, and I think he referred to them as the cabal, how their karmic rules work. What else did he talk about? I couldn't tell you what else he talked about. So when he came in so frantically, I was a little confused because usually people that are within this community or are spiritual and kind of have an understanding of how reality works, usually they're pretty grounded, and when they pass, they cross over rather easily, and they are not in a frantic type of energy. So I was a little confused by that. So when I got that information, I literally got my phone and asked if he was an atheist, because the way he was behaving, it just didn't seem. I was confused, like why he didn't just cross over. If he understands all of that, and if he has a true understanding of how reality works, about aliens and about God and quantum physics, then why does it seem like his energy is just like not crossed over just yet? And so, Google said like, no, he was not an atheist. He definitely believed in God. He was part of the New Age movement and so on and so forth. So I was like, that's okay. So then why am I getting this? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And so from what I have seen on the news, right, or what they tell us, is that he committed suicide. It was a self-inflicted gun wound, and that there were cops surrounding his home. But within this weird, chaotic exchange, he said, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. And so I was having a hard time getting information. And that's the thing too, like I'm trying to work on seeing the event rather than having to ask an entity for, I guess, kind of for this reason, because I don't know. So anyway, I started to like pray and tell him to cross over, to, this exchange would be much easier if he would just cross over. And here's the thing too. When I'm having this type of interaction with someone who was passed, I'm having it within this time frame. He, as a soul, as an energy, is very likely interacting with other people out there that are also trying to connect with him. And so, can I say for sure that he didn't cross over at the time that I actually connect with him? No. But I think that this exchange was just showing me that he probably didn't cross over right away. And so, of course, in my time and space interacting with him, I am like praying, and I am creating like a white light tunnel for him to go through. I asked Archangel Michael and Archangel Azrael, who are my go-to angelic bodyguards when it comes to this type of work and crossing people over. And I basically told him like the information would come in a little clearer if you would cross over, because you still have so much of an ego and pain and suffering attached to you before you cross into the light. So that's how that exchange went for me. And I asked him, I didn't ask him to do it, but I just guided him that would be the best thing for him and for everyone, is to just go into the light. And so that is all I really got from him. He says he didn't do it, and that and he said they're coming after all of us. When he said they're coming after all of us, I saw flashes of like researchers, right? UFO researchers, scientists, specifically research that has to do with UFOs, with aliens, with extraterrestrials, and any type of UFO technology that comes with it. From what he was saying and from what I was feeling from what he was saying, it feels like they're all connected, and that there are others that are also being targeted. And so then I kind of wondered, well, the only other two that I can think of are Stephen Greer and Chris Bledsoe. Now, Chris Bledsoe isn't necessarily a researcher per se, but he's very well known within the community. And he is, but that's the thing, that's what differentiates between him and the other people. Oh, so I think maybe David Icke as well. I can't think of anyone else. Basically, it felt like the ones that are really being targeted are the ones that present research, not the psychic mediums, not the ones that have, not the experiencers, because the experiencers and the psychics, they don't have any proof. And there's a very large portion of humanity in general that kind of discredit psychics, or they just don't, there's no credibility there because there's no proof. But with scientists, that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to present to you proof of why their theory exists. And so it feels like those groups that are trying to present proof and research to back up their theories about UFOs and technology and the things that might be coming, that is why they are being targeted. But it feels like the channelers out there, the psychics, just the people that even talk about reptilians on this kind of, in the new agey, psychic woo-woo way, they're kind of safe because there's no credibility. Okay. That's why I feel like maybe Chris Bledsoe might not be on that target list. But still, I feel like he should be careful because he's within that circle. So anyway, so that's the info I got, right? So then I got online and I started looking up what other channelers were saying. And two channelers both said that this was a psychic attack and that he did pull the trigger, but it was a psychic attack. This made complete sense of why he came in so chaotic and so frantic, because I couldn't, and why he said I didn't do it. And so after I saw this, I looked at some of his latest videos of him on, I don't know what he was on. He was on some sort of streaming service, and he was getting money from donations, like a lot of money, hundreds of dollars. But he looked he looked like he had lost weight from the previous little clips that I had seen. He just looked very ungrounded, he didn't look well. And it hit me like a train. This is exactly what demonic possession looks like. This is exactly what it looks like. Now, this point came up with me when I was talking about the Pleiadians a few videos ago, okay? For whatever reason, I got on this tangent about angels and demons, right? And how is it that we can tell the difference between angelic energy and Pleiadian energy, because they seem very similar. They're very about service to humanity and very loving. And so, but I forgot to mention it in the video. What I got is that Pleiadians can work with the angelics and be influenced by the angels that are in service to humanity in a similar way that the reptilians get influenced by demonic energies. And so there are dark energies that the reptilians will work with. And so when someone is demonically possessed, they can be possessed by a dark entity of any sort, but they can also be possessed by a reptilian. And so it feels like because he was within the UFO community talking about aliens. He was probably, I didn't see any clips of him talking about reptilians, but he probably was talking about them. It feels like this was more reptilian, but still with like a demonic essence. So anyway, I've talked about this on my channel before about demonic possession and why I believe that people should watch horror movies, especially when it comes to demonic possession, so you understand what it looks like. Because it doesn't happen just it doesn't happen that quickly. It doesn't happen just overnight and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm possessed by a demon or whatever, or a reptilian, okay? Because very similar energies. It happens slowly. It's a very methodical, step-by-step process, because once you are a target, they do what they can to slowly inch their way into your life, just like a tiny little parasite. They want to go undetected for as long as they possibly can until you have become so weakened that now it doesn't matter if you know that they're there or not, because they've already won, okay? And so you can kind of see this in his energy in his later videos. Just seems a little ungrounded. Apparently, there are people who have interacted with him that said that he seemed a little off. He was battling mental health issues, right? Like, and I've said it before, like, I don't believe that people are just schizophrenic, and that the things that they're seeing aren't actually there. They are seeing real things. It's just that some of us are a little bit more able to recognize that it's more of an attack. And sometimes when you're so psychically gifted, it's very difficult to differentiate between reality and non-reality, or this particular dimension in reality versus not. And so it's interesting because what I saw with him when it comes to being psychically attacked and basically just being sort of possessed and pushed to this. So he, now I don't know if it feels correct. It feels like he did pull the trigger, but I didn't see that, because when I spoke to him, he said, I didn't do it. But if he was being psychically attacked and pushed to this, then this is what I mean by demonic possession. This is what it looks like. So do I believe he actually killed himself? No, I don't. I think that he was essentially murdered, but murdered within the spiritual, energetic realm. He was attacked from that angle. Now, going back to demonic possession, okay, because I think this is really important that people understand this, because the world appears to be falling apart. We've got a war going on now. Gas prices are starting to go up. Housing is very expensive. Like, life in general is becoming expensive and difficult, and so on and so forth. The darker energies are going to try to stress you out so much because they know that stress weakens you. And if we can put more stressors on people, they're always going to be making decisions from a stressed out fight or flight place within them. And when they do that, one, they're not going to make very good, clear decisions. And two, their health is going to decline as a result. And when your health declines and when you're making poor decisions, you are in such a weakened state that it makes it very easy for the darker energies to come and attach onto you and then really snowball your life into decay. So then, after doing a little bit more research, I learned that the reason why he was asking for money is because he was having money problems. Apparently he was in a lot of debt. He was having marital problems as well. I guess he was in like a really nice home, but he was in a lot of debt, okay? This actually came full circle for me, because that's exactly what I've been dealing with the last couple of days. I'm trying to refinance this house, and then the loan people that I was working with, they kind of weren't really being honest with me, and I didn't like that, so I had to cut that off, and it was just a little frustrating. And then I wanted to meditate on this, and it was hard for me to get out of that. This is just to prove that when you are stressed out with human issues, it makes it difficult to be spiritual. This is very obvious that that's exactly what happened with David Wilcock. It doesn't seem like he was able to spiritually protect himself because he was so stressed out with human affairs. Now, I'm not saying that you can just not be stressed out about human stuff. I'm obviously proof that that's not the case. But this emphasizes how important it is to just have your human stuff in order and to get rid of the stress in any way that you can. It's really important that we all prioritize just the things that are truly not important. You have to set up your human life's success in order to have the ability to sit and be spiritual. It's just like like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it's just like the chakra system, right? And I've made a whole video series about the chakras, and I kept coming back to how important the root chakra is, because the root chakra is your foundation. It is whether you have clothes on your back, it's whether you have food in your belly. It's the same thing with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The essentials that you need to survive as a human, you have to have that first before you move on to the next level. And I can't recall what the next level was with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but at least with the chakra system, it's the sacral chakra, which is going to be like passion, right? And creativity. How can you express your passion and how can you be creative if you are in so much debt that your bills are going to collections and you're about to file bankruptcy? You can't. So anyway, I could be projecting a little bit of this message, because I've been very much trying to focus on like getting out of debt personally, and that's kind of, and it's just interesting to see that play out with David Wilcock right before my very eyes, and it breaks my heart, because he seems to have been a very like sweet man, and all he was trying to do was get the truth out, and that happened to him, okay? And so we have to be aware that this is how this works, okay? So handle your human stuff and get rid of the stress as much as you can, okay? The second thing is that we have to recognize that psychic attacks, demonic possession, it comes in through negative experiences, negative emotions, okay? Just little by little. It starts with, at first, having some money problems, okay? Money problems, marital relationship problems, friend problems, work problems, whatever. Little stressors here and there, okay? Then it leads to negative thinking. Like, oh, I hate my job. I wish I didn't have to work with that person, or, having negative thoughts about your partner, whatever it is. But now there's like negative thinking happening within you that starts, okay? When that starts to happen, you have to put that in check immediately, okay? Because if you don't, it will snowball, and eventually it will start leading to darker thoughts. And these thoughts will then eventually fuel darker feelings, anger, frustration, which then will likely lead to rage. Then you might start acting out. You might start just having really heated conversations with people, like snapping at people, or you might snap at your kids or start screaming at your pets or something like that, right? It starts to escalate. And once you get to like the screaming, or of course, if you start to get physical, like you start throwing things or punching walls or hitting other people or hitting other creatures, that's usually the turning point. That's when they'll come in and just attach right to you, because then honestly, the attachment probably happened a little bit before then, but that is definitely like their like open invitation to your energy. So, and once they're attached, you will slowly start to spiral after that. You might start hallucinating, you might start having nightmares, and you're just gonna start to implode your life until there isn't one anymore, okay? And I say all of this with as much sensitivity and with as much love as I can for David Wilcock, because I truly believe that in this case, he is a victim. When this happens to people, they are victims. And he was very well aware of all of these things. And so if he can be a victim to this, then that means that any of us can. And so I don't want his death to be for nothing. Like, let it be a lesson for all of us. Let it be a warning for all of us. We should all know now that this is a spiritual war. And the dark side, they are getting desperate. They've been desperate for a while, but they are getting desperate. Now, the good news is that because the dark side is getting so desperate, they are making it very obvious that they are attacking us. It just gets more and more obvious. And so it's even from this particular situation, people are waking up. People are starting to ask, like, why is it that they are going missing? Why? Why are they being silenced? Or why are they dying? There's too many of them for it to be a coincidence. What do they all have in common? Well, they all seem to be doing research about UFOs and aliens. And then some of them are doing research on alien technology, specifically with free energy and anti-gravity. And so we should all probably consider that if they were willing to go to such far lengths as to silence these particular groups of people, or this particular group of people, that whatever they are saying or whatever they have said must be important. And so I don't think it's a coincidence, at least for myself. Like, there's no such thing as coincidences, right? I don't think it's a coincidence that I kind of felt like I needed to talk about the different alien species, because disclosure is upon us. And now all of these UFO researchers are going missing, okay? Now, one thing, I think it's the last thing that I got, is that it feels like something is coming. And I couldn't tell if it's Project Bluebeam. I can't tell exactly what it is, but it feels like there is some sort of disclosure about to happen. But it's not going to be what it actually is. It's not going to be. It's going to be like a performance, or it's just not going to be what they say that it is. It's just another agenda, right? Just like COVID wasn't what they were telling us that it was. Okay, it's going to be something like that, but it's going to have to do with aliens, alien technology, and of course, Project Bluebeam is just a fake alien invasion that will scare the living daylights out of all of humanity, and therefore we are going to voluntarily give up all of our protection and our rights because we want to stay safe from the aliens. So it kind of feels like something like that. Whereas all of these UFO researchers would know that whatever this is, it's not actually real aliens. It's not real. It's something that it's like a performance. So anyway, so that's what I got. But on a happy note, what I also got is that there are some scientists that are going missing because the good guys are taking them. Like they're obviously catching wind that some of these scientists are going missing for malevolent reasons, and so they are being proactive and getting some of them into hiding and into safety. So that's at least some good news. But as far as the rest of us, just the average person out there that are trying to do the right thing and trying to stay safe and trying to stay educated, just please, please, please handle your human affairs and get rid of as much stress as you possibly can. Bring about as much peace and wellness into your life as you possibly can. This is gonna maybe take some hard conversations. It's gonna take some hard work, and it's, there's a lot of decisions that need to be made. But sometimes we have to do this because our lives depend on it. And for me, at least as with the nurse practitioner aspect coming out, I am more of a functional medicine practitioner. I truly believe that stress causes 95% of all chronic disease. And I think that's actually been proven. But from a biological standpoint, when you release more cortisol and more norepinephrine into your system, it prioritizes the fight or flight system because your body feels like it's in a stressed out state and it's prioritizing trying to keep you safe. And when it's constantly prioritizing that, the other parasympathetic systems that help regulate your blood sugar, that help you regenerate cells, that just help you heal and just stay healthy in general, that all gets pushed to the side. So you take away from your body staying optimal when you are constantly stressed out and releasing those hormones. So no matter how you look at it, whether it's from a psychic attack, demonic possession, reptilian possession aspect, or if you look at it from a biological aspect, reducing the stress will be life-changing and life-saving. If no one has told you today, I believe in you. You can do this. Honestly, this is a spiritual war, and we need all of us to be at our most optimal, best selves if we are going to win. And it feels like the war is out there when really the war is in here and in here. I care about you guys. I care about humanity. I care about the fact that we are under attack because David Wilcock was clearly attacked. The more we understand how these attacks happen, the more we can safeguard ourselves from it happening to us. I believe that the prophecy has already been written, that we are going to get into a higher dimension regardless. But let's do this with the least number of casualties as we possibly can. I hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Consider subscribing, and I will see you next time. I love you. Bye.